All right. We are learning some stuff. We're getting better at this. Keith, how you doing, man?
Fantastic, Ben. How you living?
Today's the best day of my life, Keith.
Oh, let's go.
I have to do so right now for you. It's like midnight, right?
Yeah, on the dot.
Dang. And you've been getting up at 6 a.m. You were saying before we started recording.
Yeah, man. Woke up around then. So,
So take me through a day in Bangkok.
oh, come on. Today, woke up, called my people back home because that's the best time to do that is in the morning, evening
Mm,
for my Americans, and then uh, went to the gym, came back, did some work, went out to a co-working event, then went
nice.
out to get food, and it's pretty
Rest
much
is
the
history.
yeah, man.
Cool. I'm just trying to. I guess I can't have my screen there. So today, if y'all are in here, first of all, say what's up to everyone in the chat. So hello, hello, public chat. What's going
What up,
on?
everybody?
Cross Central, Real. What's up? What's up? Thank y'all for coming through. Say hello, fellas. How we
Yes.
living? Oh shit, you moved, bro. Yes, Keith is on the other side of the world right now, so he's still grinding the pod. So today we're talking social media and the decline of society, as you saw from the title. We're after Tuesday, we try to keep this one a little lighter. So we'll go more of the social side of it, the psychology side of things. And as people who make their full-time living from social media, I thought we could provide a unique perspective that not many people can. And as someone who studies social media for a living, like I think we can definitely riff on this stuff quite a bit.
Most certainly, yeah. Um, Lots of anecdotal evidence and stuff of this nature for that today, and uh, lots of stuff to look at on the data side as well that I wanted to dive into on what's happening with the creator economy and like what exactly is going on. How are people making all this money that they're making online, and like how is that impacting society or some other stuff that I'd love to talk about with you, Ben?
No, let's do it. So where do you want to start? Well, we'll start with Real right here. He's asking you a question. How is it right now in Bangkok? How are you enjoying it?
Well, I definitely don't mind you asking. It's absolutely fantastic. I'm very excited about it. I don't think that I'm gonna leave until they tell me
Heck
that I
yeah.
can't stay
I'm
anymore.
so glad to hear you're liking it. That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Hell yeah, dude.
So, you know, let's start out with a little bit of some of the data around the creator economy and try to define this a little bit. So, as it stands, I found some data around what is the size of the global creator economy. And right now, what I'm seeing is that it's already at around 250 to 480 billion dollars, depending on the source. It's a pretty big gap, but it's expected to surpass somewhere around over 528 billion dollars by 2030, and with long-term projections reaching over a trillion and a half by 2034. And when it comes to like what is the creator economy, we're talking about 207 million active content creators around the world. So this is Instagram, YouTube, Facebook is something that apparently is a really big deal right now and people are
Facebook's
sleeping
big
on.
for yeah. Facebook's big.
Yeah, and TikTok and all that stuff. So now 207 million active content creators worldwide, but then there's also around 27 million total that are actually in the United States alone, which represents 14% of the population aged 16 to 54 in the US. And of these, 44% of them are full time creators. So, what we're seeing is like an explosion of people creating content online and then also people actually monetizing that and creating income from it. Now, the truth is like not everybody's actually making any serious money.
Most people aren't.
100%. And so the data that I was able to find on this is that around 4% of creators worldwide are earning more than $100,000 USD per year.
4%?
4% of creators are earning more
Wow.
than $100,000 USD a year. Yep.
Dang. But that's I also really want to go into this. So as much as we're going to talk about the decline of society and all this stuff, also if you have any interest in terms of actually how to do social media the right way, we'll also try to help you do that too. Because I've been making money on social media for almost a decade at this point. And so with that, I learned a lot of the stuff that was bullshit very early on. And so now a lot of the people that are giving the advice that are bringing in the next wave of creators, they're giving horrendous advice and they don't even realize that they are. And so we can talk about it in any which way you want, but where do you want to go first, Keith?
Yeah, I mean, I think we should start off talking about like what this is doing to society.
Okay. Yeah. So I think social media has just become media at this point. So the problem is when you give everyone access to social media, you kind of see true human nature to a degree, right? Like what will people do for fame and money? And then it also like the problem is that fear pays, right? The rage bait is a big thing. And so it basically promotes everyone being a character 24/7 and the most dramatic version or most viewable version of that character. Because most people fall into the trap of entertainment based content. Because when you think of your creators, who do people come to mind? It's the Kai Cenats, it's the Mr. Beast, it's the people that are always on. That is a very shitty existence. As someone who saw that for a little bit of my like when I first started social media, I'm like, oh, I want to be that. And then I quickly realized I'm like, why am I doing this in the first place? I'm like, it's to create businesses. So why don't I just be like more of a business creator? And that made my life substantially better. What did you got for
Yes.
me?
I think like the number one thing that comes to my mind is like obviously the big thing that's on everyone's mind around the decline of society when it comes to social media, and it's OnlyFans.
Mhm.
Okay. And I've actually tried to articulate this because I was talking to someone about the fact that I'm doing this episode tonight. And it's really hard to try and like quantify like what why is this OnlyFans thing happening? And what does that actually mean for society?
So yeah, so it depends how conspiratorial you want to go. I think a lot of people do think that it's kind of a coordinated effort, and there's so many things that are connected to it. Like, is it a coincidence that like in the whole like there's so many movements that happen that promoted that this would be something that would be celebrated at the time when they have the vehicle to do it on a public forum easily. Like, is that a coincidence? Anybody's that's up for debate.
What's the time that it was able to be done on a public forum? What do you
So I'm
mean?
saying like there was so many pushes in terms of like it's always so it's hard to talk about this stuff as a man because instantly girls are like, you know what I'm saying? But like it like if you go watch the content that is there, it's all like, do you boss babe stuff, like whatever, I'm doing this, it's a man's world, I'm taking it back, right? And so naturally, this was a very easy way to become an entrepreneur as a woman, right? And make an obscene amount of money because it also was it started grooming. I thought about this last night as I was preparing for this episode. I'm like, where did this start? And so for my first thing was Facebook with my first introduction to social media. And very quickly I saw how this sophisticated technology is very much taking advantage of our animalistic tendencies. Where I remember when profile pictures really became like the currency of who's cool, who's not amongst like
Mm,
girls, right? And then it would be how many likes did you get when you changed your profile picture? And even the really cool
wow.
guys got a fraction of the cool girls, right? So that really primed them to start seeing that like this is a exchange mechanism for pecking order, right? And like women, I would actually say that women are a lot smarter than men in so many ways. And one of those ways is the whole social hierarchy thing. Like when girls say to guys like, "Oh, like what you guys talk about with your guys," like a lot of times it's like we were talking about dumb stuff, nothing, right? Whereas girls are constantly playing so many more like layers of games with each other. It's exhausting if you're like
Mm.
on the outside, but now they have the vehicle of doing that through social media. Like that must be exhausting. And that's where it started for me, in my opinion. And then when Instagram became a thing, it became an even bigger thing. And then when people started making money from it, it became an even bigger thing. But I remember my whole point was Facebook profile pictures. I remember that so clearly. People would say out loud, she got like 300 likes on her profile picture. I was like, wow. And that was like cool. Yeah.
So that's actually super interesting to think about. I feel like this was like a little bit before I was ever on social media, but I feel like there was a time also where I think it was MySpace and
Yeah, I
you
miss
had like
MySpace.
the music thing
Yeah.
was like a piece of it. It was like whatever song you had,
Mhm.
right, on your profile was like a major like value, virtue signaling kind of thing, right?
Yes.
And that could be how you kind of like show people not necessarily pecking order, but rather in that case just like alignment, right? Of like who you are, what you
It
value in a way.
yes. Yeah, and social go ahead, you got a point. Continue.
No, I mean it's just interesting to think about how that's evolved because that did come back, I think, with like I'm pretty sure even on like on some of these dating apps, right? Like can't you like set like a song or uh an artist or something as like your, I guess you probably don't know because you're not on any of that stuff. But
I used to be. I used to run that thing up, man. I used to use all those apps. It was because when I traveled, it was a great way to also just meet friends and stuff too, right? But, yeah, that was part of it. Like, they're always trying new features to try to get people in there, but I think we could talk about how it impacted dating because I think it's very interconnected, right? Like go ahead.
yes, and then and so the only other thing that I was going to say is like so on Instagram for sure that came back for sure, right? Like they started putting the music into the platform and that kind of
Mhm.
like changed. I think that definitely really completely changed the way that that platform was being used. And obviously, TikTok, I guess, maybe did it first, and then Instagram realized, like, oh, we need to integrate music in. I don't really know what order that would have came in, but anyways, I just wanted to kind of finish on that because the profile picture also comes back again when we're looking at your space, the thing that you're the most excited about always when it comes to the crypto scene, which is NFTs,
Mhm.
right? So, and seeing how that kind of came back into the fold, not only as an actual monetary value, right? That comes into what we're seeing as value in this online space and social media. But we can talk about the dating thing too. I just wanted to seed that as well because I know you've got a lot of stuff that you could talk about on that side too.
So, yeah, there's like, this is a conversation that I could talk about for hours and hours, and there's so many different angles that we wanna go down. So, Keith, you take it wherever you wanna go. Stop me wherever you want. People in the chat, like, if you have an angle you want us to go down, let's go ahead and do that too. But when we got thrown this technology, it was such a radical transformation in terms of how everything functioned, right? And that's what really I mentioned this in the pod before, but I remember the first YouTube video that I watched because I was like, "Wait a second, this was made by somebody like me? Like I could have just done this? That is crazy. This changes the entire world." Because we talked about before how many layers of gatekeepers there were to decide who got to go on TV, right? Or who
Mhm.
got to be in a movie or who got to be in a show. And I was like, this is inevitable. Like we are look at the advent of reality television, right? Like we are curious about other human beings. And in fact, we're probably even more curious about those that are kind of more like us because we can relate to them on a deeper degree. And so then influencer culture gets created. And when you really think about it, like the digital presence is like an online storefront. And so all of these different little pieces are pieces of real estate and strategy pieces on a chessboard for attention. And that's exactly how I looked at it all the time when all these little features come out. I'm like, and there's still a ton of underpriced things on social media that creators could be making money from their pages from or their platform that they're not thinking about just simply because they're thinking about it the complete wrong way.
What are some of those things that you feel like, yeah, like could you give any sort of examples of what that might look like?
Yeah, totally. So when I go and work with creators for my apps, right, I will try to also include in the deal the pieces that people consider as like throwaway, no big deal, right? Like let's say for Instagram, for example, if I can get a creator to add me to their pinned stories talking about my app,
Mm,
then every future piece of content that does well for them, I will get a trickle down positive effect. Okay, that's one. Two, YouTube has a very long content lifespan, right? And so what I'll go and do, and this is game for people. Like this is, I shouldn't even be saying this publicly. I'm going to make my life harder by doing this, but whatever. There's not that many people here. So I will go, and most people will charge a shitload for sponsored content on YouTube, right? What I'll
mhm.
do is say, okay, yeah, no problem. How much to be included in your backlog of catalog of content? Just the link in it, right? Like just say my walking app, and they'll sell that for nothing because it takes them like 2 minutes. But
For the link in the bio, like in the bio
description.
of the
So like
channel,
on so
descriptions.
two things. You always want to think about, okay, so what is the platform? And then where is the real attention or the real influence created? On the YouTube platform, yes, it's partially the content, but people spend a lot more time in the comments and they also read descriptions. And so what I'll do is I'll pay to be either in the pinned comment
Ah,
or in the description box for all of their old videos and future videos. So that way, at any point, if one pops off, I get an added benefit that I didn't pay for every single time. Do you know what I'm saying? And so I think a lot of people in the future, and like I'm giving them money for this, I'm paying for it, but I think a lot of businesses aren't awake for how valuable that is. Like I can say specifically because I can see where my traffic comes from. I've made the highest ROI on that dumb shit.
so that's super cool. And the reason, or rather, the first thing that comes to my mind about that on YouTube specifically is like anyone who also is reading the description or looking at the comment section, these are going to be the highly
Very
engaged
high
people.
intent. Mhm.
And yeah, and high intent for whatever the topic of the video or the content is. So that part of it also makes a lot of sense. Um, with any social media platform, and this is actually something I wanted to pick your brain on. You've got different levels of like, intent and awareness that you're getting. You got some critters out here in Bangkok. Um, um, Different levels of awareness and intent for each of the different platforms and the way that they're interacting with the content. So zoom out a little bit too. I wanted to get your opinion on, because you've talked to me about like TikTok, and I actually just had a conversation with someone about TikTok today where it was like, I got so many views on TikTok, but that led to like nothing in my
Tik
actual business.
TikTok's the biggest scam, dude.
Talk to us about like the different platforms and the value of
Yeah.
a viewer on each of them.
Yeah, so right now we'll talk about strategy and the positive ways in which you wanna use it, and then we'll talk about how we got to the self-destruction of us all hating each other. But
Okay.
for this, TikTok TikTok achieved the best scam of all time in terms of social media. Also, the fact that it's from China, and so too was the COVID virus. Like, I find that hard to believe that that was an accident. But TikTok really created what we now call the creator economy. So I was here creating content, making money online well before TikTok was a thing. It used to be called Musically before that. My little sister used to use it, and it was purely music based. What's up?
That's what TikTok is.
Yeah, Musically is what TikTok is now.
Wow, I did
Mhm.
not know that.
So
I did
for
not
any
know
of y'all
that.
watching this who is new, like it was the kids that were like 15-ish, whatever, doing like this stuff with like, and they were pretty good dancers, I can't lie. Like my sister did some cool stuff, but it was all based on music. But it owned the young demographic exclusively. Like if you went on there at my age, like you get clowned, you get roasted, right? You'd be unk. But whenever there was a new platform, I would go in there and I would make a username. But when COVID happened, everyone became a creator, right? And so people had seen people become creators like myself through something like Instagram or YouTube, but they saw that there was a pretty high degree of entry, all things considered, right? You had to understand how to use equipment, you had to get the the editing software done, you had to know the strategy behind it, you had to learn a lot. You also had to have the balls because not everyone was doing it. And there were a lot of other excuses and reasons to say no. COVID happens, everyone is stuck inside and they're bored out of their mind. What are we going to do? Let's all go hang out on TikTok. They started making memes about the experience that was going on during COVID, and everyone became a creator in that moment because the degree of friction was almost zero. And what TikTok did better than anyone is they got everybody hooked because everyone says they don't care about views until they get views, and then they become fucking obsessed. They're like a crack addict going back for it and wanting it. And so TikTok is actually built into their algorithm that, especially back then, it's become less and less because they've already got all of us hooked. But if you were to post like 10 videos, one of them would inevitably do very well. And so for you, as some random person who's never had a lick of attention in their life, or never been told they were creative, or never had eyeballs on them, whatever, then you got a ton. Or if you, let's say you were a really good looking girl and you went on there and just for being attractive, you got a million views, like that changed the very fabric of society in that like a year or two we were locked inside.
And your thing is that like it's hard to say that that is completely purely coincidental. You think maybe there's a little bit of like a social engineering to that?
Well, think about it logically, right? What has had a deeper impact on the decline of the West than social media and TikTok?
No doubt.
And so you get, and how do you usher in adoption, right? Because it was very slow to get people to do it. You create the only option, right? If you strive people have connection, they're going to go to the only place where they can get some semblance of it. And then they go and they start making all these TikToks, and then what happens? Blows up like crazy. People become obsessed with like these super toxic men, right? Like it just exaggerated extremes on both sides. And a lot of that, one thing we talk about so often on here too is that how much all of this is connected to, like, all of this is a fugazi, right? The real problem is economics. Like, almost
Right.
all of these problems we're discussing are due to a poor economic state, due to very shitty decisions, which, teeing up for next week. Next week, we're going to talk about the advent of central banking and the whole banking system, because all of the stuff we're experiencing today, every pain links back to that. Every
Mhm.
single one. And it's really hard to grasp that because you're like, it can't be everything. And then you look into it, you're like, it literally is everything. Because if you follow the 7 layers of why and the connections of stuff. But yeah, again, very conspiratorial. But why wouldn't they do it?
You know, and so this comes to the comment too that I saw someone pull up. They said, attention equals oil. Uh, in that, like, attention being kind of like the currency that we are experiencing in our lifetimes, right? Like,
Mhm.
uh, the data, yes, that is being generated from the attention that people are giving to the things,
But the data, so,
but
this will help you, I think. Sorry to
uh-huh,
cut you off, but the data is for the existing businesses. The attention is for the people, right? And
uh-huh,
the people don't realize because they can't understand the value of data because they're so far removed from it. They can understand a
right.
number of viewers because they think people. Do you know what I'm saying? Sorry
100%,
to cut you off.
100%. No, that's perfect. So yeah, so thinking about like, um, that attention being the thing that is what is it's weird because like people are already naturally attention seeking, right? Like
Mhm.
no one wants to be ignored. It means that you're probably going to die, right?
Yeah.
If you're being
Historically.
ignored. Yeah. So so when you have these mechanisms for giving people that satisfaction of the thing that they need to survive, right? Or biologically they feel the need for, and you can engineer that to potentially encourage them to seek that attention, right, in ways that actually benefits you as the creator of the platform. You've got two different things, right? So you've got the person seeking the attention, but then you've got the opportunity that, by the way, oh, I'll pay you if you get enough of it, right? So you give a little carrot at the end of the stick, and it's like, oh, if you do well enough, I'll give you this little piece of this revenue that we're generating. And that creates this natural kind of hooking. You've already put this very well, right? Like, so TikTok is like hacked into not only getting people to consume the platform, but actually to get them to produce the content that's needed for other people to be able to consume. And that is super super powerful for building out a platform where you have this ever never ending loop of people creating more and more, and the people consuming more and more and more, and then trying to I mean, it's weird because TikTok still has an imbalance. I mean, I think almost all of social media has an imbalance still where there's not enough creators yet.
There's not enough solid creators. That's being filled by bullshit slop content, and people, and the rich get richer, right? So we're currently experiencing that with our content right now, where it takes a while for you to break through, a very long time, or like a lot of good content. And then once you hit, it becomes so much easier. And then everything is on easy mode. We're currently fighting through that. But Keith, I wanted to say this, like, TikTok is the most effective propaganda tool of all time. And it's
Mm,
not because of the messages on the screen, it's because of the parrots you create through the very using of the platform, right? Because the
mm,
second I have you, what's the first thing I show you when you create an account? Boobs and butts, right? Or like, or like other not the best things for your mind, right? Like they're preying
right.
on your natural instincts. It's either drama, bullshit, or boobs, you know? And then once they have that, then you're gonna play around. My friends are making videos. I'm gonna make some videos. Okay, I'm gonna make something. Maybe you come here with from a wholesome place, right? You try to make some comedy skit because you've always wanted to be a comedian, or you sing, or you say something that is constructive. 0 views, right?
Mm,
And then one
mm.
time you try posting your ass, a lot of views. And then a bunch of months later, a lot of ass pics later, you're selling them. And I saw this happen very like firsthand because I went to school with this one girl who was like the most beautiful girl in our city. Like she was stunning. She was a genuine model, but she didn't make it in modeling. So she became an OnlyFans model.
Mm.
I was like, that is crazy. And because like this whole, oh, like this is we're empowering our own self-destruction, like it's like celebrated. It's like, no, man. Like I think that's horrendous. Should Ben start posting butt pics? I should no one wants to see that, but, I wouldn't make a lot of money, maybe some feet pics, but, yeah, so if you think about that, all you have to do is get people to use it, and then through the algorithm, you can create behavior, which then creates perception, which then creates reality. Because if I get you here, I know what you want attention. I will dictate what does and doesn't get attention. Yes, you could say it's us and it's a mirror and we're looking at our own deeper and stuff, but that could also be very easy to manipulate. And is that kind of a convenient narrative?
Yeah, and then it also always comes back down to, I think, like you're really right. The more that I've spent time on YouTube and understood like how the algorithm really works, like there are certain things that are in the algorithm that are like picked out and skewed towards what is the actual desired outcome for the platform, right? Like for YouTube, it's watch time,
They're a for-profit
right?
business, man.
Yeah. So if they're tweaking it in these other sorts of ways, right, that make them more money, then might there be other things that, well, for one, make them more money, or just are aligned with desires for how they want their platform to be used, that they're tweaking and pushing in the background as well. I mean, I had an argument, a debate with one of my very best friends who like oof, who worked at one of these very large companies. And me and my friends were like, dude, like, you recognize that there are like teams of people who are sitting in a room that are actually designed, like, their job is to moderate content on the platform. And he was like, oh, no, it's not like that. Da, da, da. We have like all these different employees. You think that they're going to spend time doing that? We're like, dude, but like, their job is to moderate the content and to control the flow. Like there's a whole department for this. And he just would not want to accept that with us. And we're just like, dude, but like it is that way. And every one of these big platforms, they have that. And then it comes out a few months later, whatever it was, that like the government in the United States was like, hey, y'all can't be doing that. Y'all can't have these departments doing those things. It's like, okay, well, clearly it's been happening. But anyways, there has been, right, and there is still going to be a skewing of what these platforms actually want for the end user to consume and how their experience actually unfolds. The question is, right, to what degree do we know what those things are, and in what way is that impacting us and having negative impacts on society? Uh, so I'm not sure how to come up with a takeaway from that, but um,
The
I guess just being aware and cognizant of that fact as you're scrolling and you're using these platforms, it's not purely, it's just a mirror of human
nature.
nature.
Yeah. The most effective influence is when you convince someone that they've made their own decision. Right? Much like we've talked about here, where when people go up in arms when I talk about the Canadian system and how we're run by corporations and we act like we're not, but we completely are. They run the entire government, right? And when people say that, like, what are you talking about? Da, 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 da. It's like, I don't need to directly hold a gun to your head to make you do something. There are so many ways to
Mhm.
influence you, right? If you threaten the taking away of money, that's one thing. If you threaten to give money if you do a certain thing, that'll just happen. And people will completely change their beliefs to adapt to whatever makes their current situation the best story, like whatever makes them look the best, right? That's why all these people have the absurd amounts of copium in terms of saying what they do and saying why it's the right thing to do, why they believe in it. There's so much of that. And that's very easy to do in a system like this where we've talked about this before. You we need to centralize social media because as long as there are for-profit puppeteers behind it, like you just need way less mouths to feed for it to not be this messed up. Because we talked about the adpocalypse which was like I want to say like 8 years ago or something like that with YouTube, where all these advertisers threatened to take away all of their advertising, and so then YouTube panicked and like adjusted the entire platform and then enforced that 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hour thing to bring more money to the top. Yeah, and so then that says it's all mind control happening right under everyone's nose. Of course it is, right? It's happening all the time, every time. And so you have to be very conscious about what you're consuming. And so many people are consuming such horrendous content and they don't even realize it's bad content. Right? Like I see this tribal thing coming in, especially since this Instagram feature where I can see what other people like. Like I see what people are liking and I'm just like, "Oh, like you're creating your own situation." And usually people are further exaggerating their own problems they have because they can obsess over it, and they can also seemingly get a sense of community from it, right? So like
Mhm.
like one thing is there's this one girl that I know, she's a friend of mine, and she's always liking stuff about how men are toxic, and then she's always like, yeah, I have the worst luck with guys. It's like, yeah, no shit. You're obsessed with having bad luck with guys. That's your whole identity, clearly, right?
Yeah.
So it's like not many people have ever audited what they're watching, and or they've seen it so many times that they can't possibly be unbiased, right? Like when you see guys and girls are both guilty of this when they're watching something and they didn't just sprint to thinking something super messed up was normal. It happened one video at a time. But when you go through and watch how many videos you watch in a sitting, you can't possibly
Mm.
distinguish like what is impacting you because you don't even really remember it, but it's impacting your subconscious slowly over time.
Yeah, man. That's a really important thing to think about. Um,
Don't watch
it's
short
these
form.
it's these split seconds, right? That um, can absolutely have that impact on your life. I watch Adler. I forget her first name, but she's a really big creator, and like her whole thing is she gets billions of views every single month,
Mhm,
and she just creates viral content, and that's just what she does. It's how they make money. They like have these like hundreds of different channels and pages that they've built up on several different platforms. This is where I was learning about the Facebook thing,
mhm.
and like her thing is so the hook is supposed to be like the first 6 seconds, right, or whatever. But she's like, actually, it's the first 3 seconds,
Yeah,
right? Like,
totally. People scroll quick.
really, you have to nail that first 3 seconds. And what she does is this, like really, the highest forms of marketing in today's world are really like learning how to like basically hack someone's brain,
Yeah.
right? So her thing is, I'm going to go wide in that first 3 seconds to get everyone to want to watch the whole thing,
Mhm,
and then by the end of it, I'm actually delivering the message that I want them to take away from this. And so what she's done is she's hacked into the subconscious brain of every single human being, right, that she can. And that's how she's getting billions of views every single
mhm.
month. And she's delivering whatever message she wants, right? And selling whatever it is that she wants on the back end of that.
Totally.
And so when you think about that, that's what these platforms are designed for you to be able to do. Like the power of that is absolutely massive because, yes, those first 3 seconds are maybe not having some crazy impact on you. It may, but then also now that you're watching all the way into the end, you've now watched someone's propaganda that has told you whatever it was that you might not have even been ready for. And then this is going to lead to a few different things. It's going to lead to the subconscious implanting of some sort of an idea on your mind. And it's going to potentially lead you to some sort of an emotional reaction, depending upon what it's actually about.
Mhm.
And that could be toward or it could be in a way, right? And now all of a sudden, you've got a whole world of people that are walking around with this little thing in their hand that's just a propaganda machine that's just feeding them all day long, making them more emotional about things that aren't even real and that are literally just designed to get them in that state in the first place to either make a decision that they want them to make or to get them to interact in a way that actually also fuels further the engagement of the content that they've actually just created. So
That's the
lots
whole
of things
game.
happening there.
That's the whole
Yeah.
game, right? And as someone who's been doing this for a living for almost a decade, like that is literally the art form that I've been crafting for the past like decade. That's why I say that AI content is so dangerous because that's it. So what Keith just explained, it always sounds like a no duh when you're hearing it from someone who understands it. But I always challenge people to break down what seems simple to find the complexities within it, right? So now that we've shifted all of these platforms away from like search based for the most part, aside from YouTube, and away from following, it's all algorithmic based in terms of interest. And so now you're constantly playing this game on every social media platform is how do I keep the scope of context as wide as humanly possible? Because every degree of prior context that is needed, you're adding like a circle to a Venn diagram of your potential audience size. And so the best creators that go viral all the time, they just keep that initial pool as large as humanly possible to get as many people as possible to like 4 or 5 seconds. If they do that, it's going to go push way further. That's why you'll see when you study content that does really well, you'll see they use figures that they know people already have a relationship. They basically use borrowed attention is the concept, like how I like to frame it. It's things people, figures, brands that people have already spent a ton of time and money for you to create a relationship and have an emotional attachment to, either positive or negatively. If you look at the best videos, they're all doing that. They're trying to use like universally understood brands or universally understood experiences to then get you to watch more of that content. But my advice for anybody consuming stuff would be, don't watch anything that's under 20 minutes. Like that should be, because whenever I send a video to people, they're always like, "This is so long." I'm like, "You should not be watching anything that's a minute or less." Like you can't possibly get context. Even when we create clips for this show, even when I'm cutting my own clips, I'm like, "This is not accurate to what truly happened." It's almost impossible to do that in a consumable way to compete on those platforms. And TikTok also achieved the scam of screwing creators big time because everyone got hooked on these views. And so then everyone was like, "Oh, I hate Instagram." And I was like, "You guys are so dumb. Instagram is such a better place to build a community and a business." And you can say you hate Instagram. They give you way more tools to make money than TikTok does. TikTok perfected keeping people on TikTok. That benefits them. That doesn't benefit the creators.
Right. And so when it comes to like the TikTok thing and getting the views versus it actually leading to some sorts of conversions. I
Mhm.
mean, when you're looking at that in the work that you do, how would you rank these platforms in terms of
It's ass.
l- least valuable to the most valuable platform for each view meaning something in
Highest
business?
far and away is going to be YouTube search traffic, which is why I've made almost all of the things that I do focused on, can I go get the search traffic that is here for an immediate problem? The conversion percentage on that is absurd. Like there are so many people that I have worked with, or that even stuff that I've done that has made like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars on views. We're talking like thousands of views, right? Like view numbers that the idiot would say like, "You're a loser, you don't know what you're talking about." And I'm like, "Why are we doing this in the first place? If it's to make money, you're the idiot." Because I just went into a blue ocean, got a video that got like 1,000 views for something that was direct conversion. Like if you want to make a lot of money, go find something that you know a lot about and go dominate the search traffic on YouTube for an offer. Right. So like that could be anything. Like let's say you really know real estate and there's some real estate software. If you were to go through and bang out like specific high intent search videos for that, you would convert better than like any other affiliate because they already have the problem. Everyone else has already done the work. You're getting the credit. So that's number one. Nothing comes close. Truthfully, like that is the far and away the highest. And then I would say TikTok is probably underneath because you can do some sort of opportunity to build a relationship after, right? Because people will see your stories if they follow you. You can DM them too. And then
Mm.
TikTok is like the biggest pile of dog shit. Like it is the worst platform for you to make money from. It's great for top of funnel brand, like, but that really only I will take it back actually because it's crap for how most people think that it is. If you're a local business, it's actually great because they do have feeds that are local to you. So like
Mm.
it's all about understanding how can I make this work for me and not painting it with the same brush for every person, if that makes sense.
Yes, and I feel like the way that you monetize on each platform is also kind of different. Like TikTok has TikTok Shop, right? And I
Yes.
think that that's a big
We
way
don't get
that
that in Canada
creators
though.
are. Oh, no way.
We don't get that, and then I don't even think we can get money from our views here in Canada too. And then
Oh,
so we
wow.
also get screwed in so many ways. Like we talked about this before. I made the memes and markets podcast in TikTok in Canada, and I post from Canada. So they only push our shit to Canadians, which sucks.
Mm.
There's so few of
Yeah.
us, and they're so ignorant to the things that we're talking about. So it makes it impossible. It makes it so much harder to grow. If I was in the States, we would already have over 1,000 followers for sure.
I wanna tap back on the YouTube search intent thing because there's something there that like for people who are even deep into the internet marketing space, like that is very that's major alpha that you
They all
just gave.
ignored it, man. They all ignored it because it just seems so boring. Because it is, right? Like
It
when
is.
I made a video on this and I was literally like, this is how I've made myself hundreds of thousands of dollars and how I've made businesses millions of dollars. Why did I start software companies? Because I would go and charge them 10 grand and make them like $1 million.
Right.
And so then I
That's
was like, I'm
crazy.
getting screwed here so hard, but I was a kid,
Yeah.
right? What am I gonna do? I can't build the whole software company. At the time, I couldn't. I didn't have money. I didn't have resources. And so I was just like, how is everyone not seeing this? And even if like when I would work with some people that were good guys, they're straight out said, they're like, you're our highest converting affiliate. Because it just makes
That's
sense,
crazy.
Keith, right? They've done everything beforehand to make them feel good about their decision, right? And people don't back up, people don't make decisions for purchases based on logic. They make it with emotion first and they reinforce it with logic. So by the time they get to me, they're ready to purchase. Their credit card is in their hand. I'm just the final guy saying this. And if you want some additional meta, when people come to you, tell them the catch,
Hmm.
tell them what's wrong with it. Right?
Hmm.
Because if all I do is say, "Oh, this is sunshine, rainbows, you're gonna love every part of this," it doesn't convert the same. When I say, like, "This may not be the best fit for you if," they're like, "Okay, cool, that's what the catch was, and I'm cool with that. I'm gonna proceed." Right? And so, I would just do this for so many keywords where essentially if anybody was going to search up a specific solution to their problem, they're finding my face. And I even got further screwed though. Why I started products too is because people stopped clicking links, right? As much. So my
Hmm.
attribution was the problem. Like when I was like 24, I was making like 12 to 15 grand a month passively from affiliate marketing.
Wow.
And then I had customers that I was doing it actively for them on their own channels and whatnot. But that was crazy because everyone clicked the links at that time. When I saw that people stopped like they stopped doing that, mine I could see that they were still so happy with me because they knew I was making the money, but I wasn't getting the credit for it because they didn't actually click my link. So that's another
Wow.
massive problem in the whole attribution part of it is, and that's why TikTok shops become so big, is because you're guaranteed to get the credit at least for what you do sell. So now that it's my own
Because it's
products
happening because it's happening on that
on the
platform.
platform. Yeah. So granted, like it's the same with when I sell through the Apple App Store, right? It's a pain in the ass that I got to give them 30%, but it also comes with a lot of pros, right? Like they have the existing infrastructure to sell through. I'm going to get credit all the time because it's my product and they deal with the customer service. Like it's so when people come and so producer Kurt is in the background. He helps us with our customer service there too. And the stuff that people say to us is just insane, right? But when because we're on the Apple Store platform, I can say you got to deal with Apple, right? So
Hmm.
there are some pros, and I'm sure TikTok Shop has similar stuff too.
So we gotta unpack this a little bit more because like YouTube search traffic
Mhm.
is untouchable
It's not nothing's
because
close to it, dude.
because so you used to be able to rank in the Google ecosphere, right? So by the way, like backing up, search engine optimization is a concept that became a really big deal when Google took over the internet, right? And was the main thing that like homepage of the internet is google.com.
That's what started the creator economy, really.
Straight up, dude. Straight up. So you had now people are searching for things on the internet every single day that becomes a natural behavior for every internet user. Okay, great. When they're doing that, Google is going to present the options for what it is that they think that people are searching for. As a business, right? My goal is to have my business, my offers, whatever, show up as high as it possibly can for when someone is searching something that's relevant to what I'm selling. And so, out of that, an entire industry called search engine optimization is born. And so, this is like like early 2000s, right, to 2010 was the beginning of like, okay, search engine optimization becoming an entire like multi-billion dollar industry.
Yeah.
And then after that, well, so Google continues throughout this entire time to make updates to the algorithm. And so when they're doing that, entire businesses can just like go away
Yeah.
overnight
Or blow up overnight.
or blow up overnight
Yeah.
based upon new criteria that Google is using to say, oh, this is what people are actually
Actually
looking
want.
for when they search this.
Mhm.
And so there was a ton of tricks and hacks and basically having people link to your stores, your products, your websites was like a way to kind of like hack into being ranked higher. And then eventually Google just started to say, okay, well, really let's look at other things like how much time are people actually spending on the page. are people clicking through each page,
Hmm.
right? Are they going deeper into the website, or are they going somewhere else after? And using different types of ways to see, is what they're doing actually valuable uh, to the users that are coming to our platform, because we want them to come back to Google
Hmm.
because we're doing what they came there to do. So
Totally.
um, what has continued to happen is that trying to like game that system has just got way harder.
Exponentially more
Like,
difficult. Yeah.
you pretty much can't like game that system anymore. Like,
No. No.
if what you're creating is great, then it'll rank, and that means that you're going to be competing with mm, the top publishers in the world.
Yes. And
I can step back there.
no, you're good. Even more than that. So I will so backlinks and all that stuff still matters a lot. Like your domain ranking and your domain authority on Google matters a lot. But let me just paint you a picture. For one of my software companies, I spent a few hours and made a few YouTube videos, and I was ranking number 1 for a placement that was very high intent, right? I have spent like $20,000 and 9 months of my time to try to rank for Google, and we're sitting at like 3 or 4 for most of the keywords that we want, right? I did the other one for free in 2 or 3 hours and have made like tens of thousands of dollars of revenue from that. And this other one, I've spent 20 plus grand and I've made almost $0 from it, right? It's all in hopes of getting there. The problem with this is that, much like Keith said, it's so hard. But two, if you don't get to number 1,
Right.
it's basically irrelevant. There's a saying in marketing where if you want to hide a murder, hide it on the second page of Google, right? Because no one's going to look there, and that's the reality. Whereas, because I will say this: if you're since you guys are here, you can benefit from the decline of society that TikTok helped usher in by taking advantage of a byproduct of that. When everyone was so obsessed with more views, more views, more views, everyone stopped thinking about what do these views actually mean. And so, even the people who do come and do YouTube SEO research to look for certain words and video topics they could make, if they come to the end of that line and they think, oh, I'm only going to get max 50 views a month from this, they don't make that video, Keith. Right. But if you have an offer to promote or a business to promote, you can make bank. Like there's still so few channels for local businesses. Like if I was a coffee shop right now, I would go and dominate every relevant search term that could lead to someone coming into my coffee shop. Right. Like best parks in Toronto. Right. Best spots to work from in Toronto. Best coffee in Toronto. If you made those, there's probably zero competition. And that's all incredibly high intent traffic for your business. Like these people, they chase shiny objects and they miss out on the cash that's right in front of their face. It's way easier.
100%. And for everyone listening, right? Like, as a business owner or a marketer that's trying to sell a product or a service, when it comes to social media and the internet, you have two major forms of ways to get eyeballs on your offer or your product. One of them being like intent based traffic,
Hmm.
meaning that people are actively searching for the solution to whatever problem or desire or whatever it is that they have, right? That is what Ben is saying when he's saying high intent, right?
Great,
Like, people
great,
are
great
actively
clarification.
searching for something. And then you have the other side of it, which is interruption marketing,
Hmm.
whereas I'm scrolling on Facebook, not looking for anything at all, but I get an ad in the middle of that. Okay, cool. Same thing on Instagram. Now, the thing is technically what ends up happening over time is that these things, they can kind of converge a little bit, but from a first principles perspective, that search intent is like, I couldn't give you the number, but it's multiples more valuable than the person just scrolling and looking for whatever it is that they're not looking for anything. They're not in the position to where they're ready to buy. So in marketing, you have also four different layers of like what's someone goes through when they're going to make a decision about purchasing something. You have the awareness that the person has for the product or the service or the problem that they actually have, and then you have the interest that people have in actually solving that problem, and then you have the desire, right? Of like, okay, I need to actually do something about this. And then you have the actual action that gets taken, whether that's signing up for something or it's actually paying and using your tracking your credit card. So as a marketer, you want to get people from you want to catch people as far down in that process as you can. Okay. And that is where you're going to get to the point to where the search intent traffic, I'm already aware of the problem. I already have an interest in any solutions that may be around it. In fact, I have an active desire right now to solve that problem in real time. And so if I can catch you right there, then the only last thing that you're going to do is you're going to swipe your credit card to actually solve that problem. And if I'm the thing that shows up there, then I win. That is the value of intent based traffic. And what Ben is saying is still a major opportunity on a platform like YouTube if you do it right for something that has what's called a long, especially for things that have a long uh, tail keyword, meaning when you're talking about things that are very specific to a niche or a problem that you know specifically how to solve for people in a unique way. Uh, I hope that
Super
uh,
well said. Yeah, and for everybody watching this stuff, like if we ever, because Keith and I know certain things like really, really well. And so we jump right into a lot of assumptions that you know things that you may not know. And so don't ever be shy to say, like, what is this? What is that? So I'm glad that you gave all that context, Keith. So if you want to make like cuckoo money, you want to do both, right? You want to be so I start with the search traffic because that's easy, right? So I start there and I dominate all those places. And then now, since for one of my companies, I've got that, I'm basically ranking as the number one or number two for like all of my high intent keywords. And I'll walk through this chart in a second here to put you on some serious game. But then now that I have that, now I'm more concerned with brand, right? Because if I can make content that is disruption based, like Keith said, it's a lot easier to get views there, a lot harder to get conversions. But if I use that simply as a mechanism for exposure and awareness of my brand to build trust, then when they finally do have that problem, they're going to purchase right away. So they definitely complement each other. And so this chart, whenever I say like, oh, do keyword research, like people their eyes scroll over because it sounds like homework, right? But it can be really be fun when you get into the mind of someone who may become a customer. And if you're working for a business or if you run your own business, like this should be exciting. You're running a business to help people, and this is just ways to help people and help more of them. And obviously, you make money from it. But this is what's called the awareness ladder, right? And so at any given time, people have different levels of awareness. So zero being they're not aware of the need. One would be aware of the need but not aware of the solutions, and then two aware of some solutions but not your specific one, then aware of the specific solution but not the benefits of it. I will basically go through this ladder and I will make videos around all of the high intent keywords for every person on the awareness ladder. So that way I can also say, okay, so I'll use a coffee example. So not aware of the need. I could say something like best things to do in Toronto. And then after I've gotten them to the end of the video, I'd be like, oh, if you're like, this is not the best example. Let's say if you're into coffee, like check out our top 5 coffee things, right? So now I'm making them all feed into each other, and I'm basically overcoming all of the objections across the path to purchase. So from the very beginning, I'm like, so I've done this with surgeons, I've done this with all sorts of things. All you have to do is be like, what are all the questions that people would ask before they eventually get into your store? And that could start from something as broad as like best things to do in this city. Or like for when I worked with a surgeon, it was like, I heard a pop in my knee, right? That's like a very far away thing. And then later you say, okay, so here's what may have happened with the pop in your knee. And then you determine, okay, here are the different options. Now, okay, if you think that's this, okay, I have a torn meniscus. Here's what you deal with for a torn meniscus. Okay, now that I have a torn meniscus, I know that I have this. Okay, now how do I solve this? Here are the different treatment options. Okay, now I want to go with this treatment option. How do I supply that treatment option to myself? Here's where you come in and do this, and then boom, you sell, right? And so I'm thinking of like different things to give them exactly what they need, so there's no questions to be asked, and then they buy from you. And Hermosi says this too, where it's actually a display of empathy in real time, because the people who get the money, they did the best job possible showing I understand your problem. So naturally, you're going to be like, if this guy gets it better than others, he can obviously solve it better than others. And then you make the money.
110%. And as someone who might be interested in practicing these principles personally, what I would say is the most powerful thing to do is to apply this to the things that you already either buy or would like to buy,
Mhm.
right? What are the things that are in your life that you want to see solved? Because when you look at the things that are your pains, the things that you're already having an issue with, you're going to so easily actually get into the mind of the users when it's time to go through this process. And
Great
like
point.
we underestimate that. Like when I'm buying something, especially if I'm spending a lot of money, the most important thing is always, is this person actually getting my problem or not?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll know because they'll say the things, right?
Yep.
There's literal sentences,
Mm-hmm.
right, that people will say over and over and over again for whatever it is that you're trying to solve the problem for.
Yes. It's like when you
And you
see
want to say that.
yes, yes, and I want you to keep going, but I don't want to forget this.
Mhm,
It's like when you
mhm.
see somebody who wears the same sports team logo as you, instantly you're like friends, right? You're basically creating that by doing what Keith is saying at scale, 24/7. Like that's what when I figured out this stuff out when I was like 18, 19, like when I was really big into social media, I was like, "Oh my god, like this is how I'm going to do everything because this is just such a high leverage means of doing everything."
100%. That's a really good example. And it happens all the time. It's like, okay, that person is a potential friend now,
Mhm.
just off of them wearing the jersey.
Yeah.
I'm way more willing to
Yes.
just say hello,
Totally,
right?
because you also know that they'll be willing to reciprocate more often than not, right? They publicly wore this thing, so you're basically doing that, in terms of whenever you get the stuff right. So that kid had a how do you do keyword research? So I go
Yeah.
through this every single time, and I look at the awareness ladder. There's better examples of that. That one's a little wordy for my taste, but there's like problem aware, solution aware, et cetera, et cetera. And what I'll do is I'll basically put on my empathy hat of someone who has that exact problem, or who's someone who's even removed from the problem who might just be in the area. And I'll literally think through everything that they might type into the search bar that I could then direct them to the next thing on the next step up. And I'll make that video and I'll make that video and I'll make that video. And so the tool that I use is it doesn't really matter. Honestly, you can use the YouTube search bar. If you just type in on YouTube something and it auto populates, that means other people are searching for it. You can also use TubeBuddy or vidIQ. They're all going to give you fairly simple numbers. That's really none of those tools are actually where the money is made. The money is made in yourself developing empathy because it can tell you how many people are searching for it, but it can't help you with what people would search in the first place. It's not good. They're not good at that yet. And so you developing the skills also why there's a huge arbitrage opportunity is because most people get fatigued and they stop trying.
Yes. Keyword keyword research, man. It's like you said, it's all a practice of empathy. Like you want to literally be thinking like, what is this person actually going to type into the search bar?
Yeah.
And like the reason that this is so undervalued is that you have to understand that like if you can capture in a title of a video as an example the exact thing that I am searching for and
Mhm.
you answer my question and provide the solution in that video, I'm going to convert.
Yes. And the irony of
Like
search-based
it's done.
content is it takes almost zero creativity. It's pure empathy. Right?
Mm,
Because you're just trying to say, yes, you will get what you searched for. So the title becomes easy. The thumbnail becomes easy. The content itself becomes easy. So like all these people are out there paying for all these people who are like coming in to help them with content. And I'm just like, oh my God, all you guys are so dumb and you're lighting money on fire. And the amount of real estate agents I've tried to help, but their egos are so large where they will just
mm,
not listen to anything that I have to say. I literally I've tried to sell this one idea that could literally turn into millions of dollars, and I'll keep it for later. I'll give my sister a month. If she doesn't do it, if she doesn't start it within a month, I'll share it on this show. But like literally any real estate agent that were to do this would literally make passively millions of dollars a year. If I had a real estate license, I would do this. But I got other shit going on. But so yeah, Abby, if you're watching this, you've got 30 days before I come and make your life a lot harder. But this is the strategy stuff. And so I think that goes to show you who we are, right? Like we've seen this as the tool that it can be. And that's like anything, right? When people are losing, some people are winning. Should we go back to the whole psychology of all this stuff?
um, yes, and tying this all back into to like what we just did is we just broke down like what is the systems that are being designed right in the back end of getting that attention, right? And like these are the things that are happening in the background that are determining whether or not you're seeing things and why you're seeing them
Mhm.
a lot of the time. So hopefully that makes sense, right? Like our goal always is to like talk about like what are the things that we can be doing right
Mhm.
around the topics that we're talking on. And that is what this kind of section was, but also, right, like this is that mechanism behind, this is why this is on your feed.
Yes.
Because it answered this, this, and this, and this, and people wanted more of it over and over and over again.
Yeah, social media will either make your life or destroy it. The choice is yours, and we're just trying to equip as many people as possible with the understanding because there are dude, there's not many, like, pioneers in social media because it's so new. Like, I would honestly say that I'm in the top 1% of people on social media on the planet because 'cause I've been doing this since 2014. Most people who have entered the space have been doing it for, like, 3 or 4 years, 5 years, right? And so, like, that's why I wanna share it because it also taught me how the user experience worked because I had to be the guy who understood all these platforms because my clients or myself would have to understand how to best leverage these all the time. So I also got to learn how software development works because I would see when they would change things, right? And I'm like, "Oh, obviously people didn't understand how to use it like that, so they changed it like this." And I actually made a TikTok about this the other day where another huge massive hack is pay attention, like you talked about this earlier, Keith, where pay attention to what they're doing, the platforms in general, because you can get massive advantages for doing that. Case in point, Instagram just recently changed their entire user interface where now before when you used to go on there, the middle button would be the post a content button. Now it's their freaking DMs. I don't know if y'all can see this. You can't see shit.
Interesting.
But now, okay, you can. See, right? So now they give prime front and center real estate to the send button. And so naturally you're thinking, okay, well, why in the world would Instagram do that if they're a content platform? It's because they're not a content platform. They're a DMs platform that has content in it to share. And so when you realize that all these platforms and that's why also you need to understand what's actually going on to get what you want from it. YouTube is not a video platform, it's a click and watch platform. Meaning the concept matters so much more than even the video itself because if people don't click it, it doesn't matter. It's the same example I give all the time because it's the best one I can think of. It's like an amazing video you create with a shitty title and thumbnail. It's like a Lamborghini you don't put gas in. It can be perfect, it can be super awesome, but you'll never know because there's no gas in it. It's not going anywhere.
I don't like how you're always getting these Instagram updates, and I just don't know like what's going on. Like for what I know now, like people are seeing like how long I'm watching a video and like what part of it I agree with, and you guys are able to see that stuff, and I just don't know that because I don't have that update yet.
You
But
still don't have
anyways,
that friends feed?
dude, I still don't see it. If I don't know what the heck you're talking about there. So
Okay,
other
I'll show
people are
you. I'll
seeing
show
what I
you.
got, but I can't see what they got.
Okay, so if you go to Reels, I'll show this in real time. So if you
Okay.
go to Reels,
Uh-uh.
come on, and then you click Friends, right?
Oh my goodness. Okay, I
You
got
probably
that.
have it. This guy's
Okay, I have
funny.
that
We
one.
should get him on the pod soon. And so then
Oh
you
yeah,
can
Dino.
see what people commented on the bottom if they commented. It's very intrusive, to be honest. And then you can see if they liked it, right?
Okay, okay.
So I don't really like anything unless I'm cool with people knowing that I liked it. So there's a lot of stuff that I used to like that I no longer do. I now share that. you, you know what I mean?
Twitter had it to where you could choose whether, I think now you can choose whether or not people
Your
can see
likes.
your likes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's how it
Uh,
should be, but they understand but also, okay, this is another choice that's connected to the whole DM thing because why did they do that? It's because if they saw that your friend liked it, you guys are way more likely to talk about it. I literally did it this morning.
oh man.
I literally did it this morning, right? And so no one's immune to this. Like I know, but understanding why they're doing it allows you to make it a tool that also benefits you. Otherwise, you're just getting taken and taken and taken from it.
100%. Um, the DM thing, that's crazy. Yeah, I don't have that feature, right? Mine is still not there yet. It's
You don't
not
have the
the
friends
middle
feed,
button. No, I'm saying the
the DM thing.
the DM thing is not
Got
my
it. Yours
middle
is still
button.
the okay, because what they do whenever they roll out features, they do it either, like, somewhat randomly to test. And so they'll first do it either based on regions or they'll do, like, random based on, like, your account. So, like, on my phone, I have 5 or 6 different Instagram accounts, and it's only available on, like, 2 or 3 of them. And then others are how you see it.
Word.
So it's
Interesting, man.
yeah, it's all over the place.
Gotcha. Um, Gosh, where do we go from here?
Okay, let's talk
One of the things, go ahead.
no, you're good, man, take it.
One of the things that I was just going to tap on, I mean, if you have something to say, you should definitely do it.
I was just gonna say, I think we should talk more about like the impact on dating from social media. I think that's something that we can talk about a lot more,
Okay.
right? Where this it did so many things negatively for social, like in terms of We talked about this before, where it made the dating scene global, right? And so naturally, I would say that it probably dramatically exaggerated how many people attractive women are with, right? Or even just women in general, because the guys will always try to pursue women, right? And it made like the I don't like to give numbers, but like the middle to like lower tier of guys became invisible, right? It was really, really unfair because all of these girls, they'll pursue, and this is naturally right. The hypergamy is something people talk about. It's debatable, whatever. But typically, if you look, people typically date either themselves or up. Women do, right? Naturally, think about their evolutionary standpoint, right? I'm going to go with who can give me the most amount of resources and give me the best opportunity to produce healthy offspring, right? And so that only makes sense. And now that this is here, the extremes are incredibly extreme. And so these people are looking at this every single day. They're getting told, Queen, go for it. Don't settle for a bum, right? And they're in this small town. So then what do? They go and get flown out. And then it's also a public track record, right? That's also the other thing too, right? As these guys and girls are doing this stuff, there's always a paper trail, right? So when they go through and they do this and they meet all these guys, it does a lot of things to distort the whole dynamics of relationships. So like, let's say even as a girl, like you fall for this trap, you go get flown out to a bunch of these celebrities or hip hops or athletes, and people are always like, who are on the outside, they're like, that doesn't happen. I promise you, it happens all the time. I have friends that are girls in Toronto, and they show me that everybody DMs them. Like, if a guy DMs girls, he DMs a lot of girls because it's a numbers game, right? And so they'll throw it enough. It is true. They'll throw it enough until something bites. They'll do their thing. They'll hook up. And then now he got what he wanted. And then the girl's like, okay, now this is my new caliber that I'm going for. When it's like he'd never had an intention of settling down and having a family with you. He wanted to do his thing. And then that happened. And then unfortunately that happens like a bunch of times. And then eventually when they do try to settle down, the guy who they want to settle down with is like, what the heck? Do you know what I mean? Like, what's going on here? So then it creates this, it's like disdain where these girls are like, guys are bums and they need to work harder to get up to here. They don't realize how few guys are up here and they're all sleeping with the same guys up here. So it's like, it's a shit show.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I can really add to that is my experience in Miami, being
Yes,
that like
please.
that's a very, very real thing. And so I'm an 18-year-old kid going to the University of Miami, and immediately I'm thrown into a whole different kind of pool, right?
Oh, yeah.
Where like I'm used to thinking that like, oh, like I can, communicate with my peers and be level with them.
Yep.
And like immediately when you go to a place like that, it's just a whole different ballgame,
Mm-hmm.
right? So now you're like not even you're not even visible in that environment to these young people that are your age, these young women your age. And so
I find that hard to
now,
believe, Keith. You're a pretty handsome guy, man.
no, thanks, man. Uh, we're talking about the most handsome thing out there on the planet, which is that green dollar.
Yeah. Very, very true.
And but no one's more handsome than Benjamin Franklin out here in the States
That's
now.
true. Yeah. Benjamin is good looking, man.
And so and social media does still play a big role in this because this is how the messaging and the dissemination of the the material is still done, right? So it's like, oh, we're having a show here tonight, like pull up, through Instagram, basically.
Instagram is the world's biggest dating app.
Yes, right. And so like you're talking about 18-year-old young women who are, I kid you not, at tables with Drake, right, within their first couple of weeks on campus.
Yeah.
Okay, because of social media.
Mm-hmm.
University of Miami in your bio. Like they will target that, right? Because they know, right, that's what is going to work. That's going to bring that exact crowd into where they're doing their business. And so it's just a very real thing. And this was before the OnlyFans thing was also like super massive. This was 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And so you see kind of like Instagram being the beginnings of like that behavior already existed before OnlyFans was massive. It was just that there wasn't a clear path to monetizing it as a woman. And
True.
that, you got to like, maybe you might not get paid. You know what I mean? You got to just kind of going along with the flow and just doing the clout.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, uh, firsthand, very real thing that the internet expands how uh, all information gets disseminated, but the pools in which people are operating in are now global and at the highest disparities of class or whatever can be exacerbated through these platforms, and um, you won't recognize that necessarily that's like why things might feel off or weird or whatever
Mhm.
until you calculate that. um so yeah, so for young men, right, like, and this is always, I think, a thing, like it's always a thing that younger men are dealing with older men.
That's competition.
Exactly. But now it's like a whole different level because you're competing with all men
Yes,
that are
yes.
older than you too.
Yeah, it's the expectations are also so much higher because people can see things as attainable that they just wouldn't have seen before besides on TV, and they were like, "Okay, that's not here," so they could conceptually be like, "I can't have that." But now they see either from a short-term perspective or whatever that these people get that, and then that totally distorts things like crazy.
In the West, I think this is a major problem where men are actually encouraging this behavior. Like these
Totally.
top percent, whatever men that we're talking about, like they are actually a real part of the issue too,
Massive part of it.
because they're leading. There's a lot of men that are leading with what they have,
Yes.
right?
Yes, not who they
And
are.
exactly. And so, and when that becomes a standard, I mean, no one really wins from that anyway. So I don't think that it's, I mean, I do rather think that it really is a 50-50 thing here. I think
How can it
where
be
maybe
50/50 if only a tiny percent of men can participate?
because those men, right, are still just as responsible is all I'm trying to say. So, and I guess what, fuck, excuse me. The thing I was trying to say is like,
We got him.
um, how do you it's not it's still on them is all I'm really trying to say, and I can't
Totally
think
it
of the
is.
point that I was going to make.
No, totally it is. 100%, 100% it is, but, like, why do the girls keep going back to the well? Like, it's pretty easy from an outsider's perspective to be like, "That guy's a piece of poo. Like, that guy's not gonna treat me well." But then they keep going back because they're like, the little bit of potential clout is worth it. Like, that's a value problem, in my opinion, right? Like, which we talked about before, where, like, you get everything that comes with it. Like, you can't just get the bit of clout and not get what clout comes with. Like, that's part of the equation. And I think a lot of times, and this is men and girls included, where we are, like, in a zone where, like, accountability is at an all-time low, right? Like, people are always
Hmm.
like, "Oh,
Yes.
this happened because" everyone's like, "This happened to me." It's like,
Hmm.
"Yeah, I made you go to the guy's house. I made you sleep with them." Like, no, no one did that. Like, you made these rows of decisions that led to the thing now. I think men are bad at this too, where they don't think about, "Okay, what does this look like at the end of this situation?" And we all do this all the time, right? We're all learning. I get that. But I just think that the much to connect to this whole social media thing is that if people looked at what they're watching, then their life makes a lot more sense
The accountability thing is a real problem,
for men and
and
women.
exactly, it's across the board. There's this that, and that I think is probably one of the biggest issues with the whole like red pill movement.
Mhm, that shit's crazy too.
It's like it's all Western society and women's fault.
No, it's which is definitely
And
not true.
right, and it's not. And that's the only other thing about this that I want to make clear, because when we're getting these extreme messages, we're being told that this is what it is, and you're being told that this is why things aren't happening for you the way that you want them to. And that gives you an excuse to not improve or to fix the problem that you have yourself. Um,
Yeah, I think that
so
also
yeah.
no, that makes total sense, and even, like, the guys and girls that are falling for this, like, e eventually, like, you gotta wake up and learn from it, but they were how would it have gone any other way, right? They were seeing all these messaging, promoting it, saying it was great, all this good stuff, painting it in a very, like, not accurate light. We got some stuff here. We need to bring back shame culture, maybe reframe shame culture. Like, I don't believe in shaming anyone. It's more, would more so like educate them, like more of an education culture like saying what is the consequence of this decision, not just like what's the good part of it. And then Anukin said, "Bro is fishing for mahi mahi in a freshwater pond." That's funny. Yeah, obviously you go wherever you go in the world, it's going to dictate the kinds of people that are there. But it unfortunately most of the world lives in these big cities where this is a very big problem.
Yeah.
And even go, you got something? Because I got a funny story. I've talked about it on the pod before, but it's
Yeah,
very
go
timely.
for it.
So
Go for it.
I've lived through this too. Very specific situation, right? Because it's not even just like, oh, girls are or guys are like hooking up with a lot of people. Sometimes it can also just be like emotional cheating and infidelity. Like when I dated this one girl in college, she'd have like looking back on it, I'm such an idiot and I should have dumped her the second this happened. But I bought into that whole woke feminism shit too, where it's like, oh, am I being too controlling for having boundaries? Right. Like that was pretty well spread. And so I remember I was on a flight going to Utah to speak at a YouTube conference. And on the flight, I'm about to take off, and I got a text from my girlfriend at the time, and she says, "You're on so and so's plane today." And I'm like, "What? What are you talking about? Like, what do you mean?" Right? And then it takes off, so I can't text. So for the next like 3 or 4 hours, I'm like looking around to see who so and so. I can't remember the guy's name. And then when I get off, she's like, "Oh yeah, I know the pilot of the plane, and he recognized you from my Instagram photos." And I'm like, "Who is this guy? I've never heard him before in my life." And she's like, "Oh, it's a guy that I met through Instagram." And I was like, "While we were dating, you just met a friend through Instagram?" She's like,
Mm.
"Yeah, like why would you have a problem with that?"
Oh,
And
whoa.
and I was bought enough into the woke stuff where I was like, "Yeah, I guess I need to be progressive. Like I need to be like okay with that." Right? Like, well, if I'm not, right, 'cause I'm coming from a relationship where like my previous relationship broke because they were saying well, the timing was like, "Oh, you're not like that, so you need to be more understanding of this crap." And so then this happens, and I'm like, "Okay, I guess like I'm a progressive man. She can have guy friends that she just met off the internet." Right? Because there's a context matters here a lot, right? Like some random dude DMing her. For all the ladies out there, if any man is DMing you, he's either trying to make money from you or pursue you. That's like the only reasons why they would ever message you. It goes both ways.
Let's
Dating,
talk about, yeah, let's just respond to this.
yeah, so dating with social media has made it 10 times harder for anyone because we were never supposed to be exposed to so many people in the first place. Yes. And also, we're supposed to have a paper trail where like your future partner has to see every mistake that you've ever made, every guy that you've ever been with, every girl that you've ever been with. Like that's so mentally taxing on the brain. And to put an end to that story that I was talking about, that same girl, like she actually ended up leaving me for a guy who was making way more money than me, and she met him through social media. And the irony of all of this is
Mm.
that she met him because she started a cookie business, okay? I helped her grow this cookie business. He DM'd her saying how, like, amazing her cookies were, all this crap, right? So, ironically, the guy that she left me for, she met because of me, and then
Wow.
she was like 3 months before she did it, she's like, you should talk to this guy. He runs a big business. He's a bit further ahead in life, but he could probably benefit from your marketing understanding. And I'm like, I looked at him. He looked like the biggest douche on the planet. Like he had all of his cars. He was really, really rich, like really rich, had like a helicopter, all this stuff. And I remember thinking, there's no way she'd be interested in this. Like this guy looks like a massive D bag. And then 3 months later, she's dating that guy. So this stuff
Wow.
does happen all the time because people love attention, right? And so when you have instant access to unlimited attention, that's too hard to say no to, especially if you have any sort of insecurities.
And we all have those, and those are also being amplified through social media,
Yes,
right?
because you're seeing the opposite of who you want to be. Like it's so draining.
For sure. Um, the other thing that I wanted to ask you about on this social side and like social side of social media is like, what do you think that like the blocking feature does to the psychology of people when it comes to either the dating thing or just in general, like being able to just block someone
I use
and
the
then just
block
be gone?
feature. I use the block feature instantly. I'm pretty dramatic. I'll be like, we no longer have a relationship, and then I'll block someone, and then I'm out. Because out of sight, out of mind is a very real thing. Like, why do you forget the problems that you had when you were a kid? Because you're not constantly reminded of them, right? Or when you were a teenager or whatever. Like, you just move on and they become irrelevant with time. That becomes a lot harder when you're reminded of their stuff all the time. So yeah, I'm a active advocate of the block feature. And when I found out that that girl did that, she was blocked, and then I
Ooh.
slowly tried to move on. So I think it's a good idea to use that feature If you feel like you even kind of need to, just do it. And people will be like, "Oh, like you're so petty, you blocked them." It's like, why would I want to be reminded of a horrible, painful experience? It's like watching yourself get stabbed on repeat again and again and again and again. Like, why would anybody do that?
And very good point. And I guess like before social media, right? Like you wouldn't have that problem,
No,
right?
it wouldn't be a thing.
Yeah. So if you can just block them, then
It's
back
yeah,
to the old days in that regard, I
and
guess.
and I'm sure that, obviously breakups like, sucked then too, but now they're so much worse because you can ruminate on the photos that you have on your phone 24/7. You can
Oh,
go
and you could see what
what
they're
they're
doing.
doing.
Yeah.
Yes, people were sending me, like, videos of her on this guy's, like, yacht, and I'm like,
Oh
"What?"
man.
Yeah, it was the worst, right? And then so then I'm like, "Okay, I gotta get out of here, like, this is" and I'm, like, cripple at the time too, like, adding insult to literal injury. And so, yeah, it's a tough situation, and obviously that creates, like, my biased viewpoint on it, but in terms of relationships, I can't find a single positive apart from meeting people through it maybe, but beyond that, it's almost all bullshit, like, even relationships when people are like I usually can tell the relationships that are the least happy by the ones that look the most happy on social media.
Right.
If you care
Right.
that much to look happy, you probably ain't happy.
Yeah, that's something I gotta ask you about too, because I find that to be super weird. But by the way, uh, that story was the beginning of Ben's villain arc, right?
Actually, I literally bought stock in the guy's company and I was like, "I'm going to use this as fuel to become a certified legend."
You're gonna green mail, you're gonna take over his company and buy it out and
Yeah,
then
no,
fire
but
him as
I
the
actually
CEO.
I actually that's why I pulled the trigger on the Pudgy Penguin. It was, 12
Wow.
grand at the time, and for me, that was, like, cuckoo money because I was just paid off my student debt, all this stuff, right? And I was like, "I know this is gonna work, and for whatever reason, this is the push." And so then I had already bought a few NFTs, but that's when I pulled the trigger on the biggest one, and it was a big old hit. So, thank you to them both for doing that. I appreciate that. But, yeah, it's tough, and, I like this here too. Let's talk about this. So the family mindset has been entirely eroded. The freedom to be and do anything gives us exactly what we have. The culture of consumerism. Yes, this is incredibly well put thing. And the problem with this too is that when anomalies are shown to you 24/7, you think that's the norm. Um, Ben, how were you able to trust women after that? That's a great question. I grew up with mostly women, so obviously I love women. I've seen all of their amazing qualities, and I don't think that women are that dissimilar from men. Like I think a man would do that too. So I don't
I
think
was
it's
gonna say, how could you trust anyone
yeah,
after
that's
that?
yeah. I think men and women like well they'll both screw you. I think it's more of the person. Are they a bad person or are they a good person? And at the end of the day, I just thought about myself and I'm like, is there any world where I possibly could have done that to someone? And I'm like, no. I'm like, okay, that's a win, right? So I could spend the rest of my life being obsessed with the fact that that happened to me, or I can be like, okay, so now clearly I'm aware there's different types of people. What did I ignore? Because with that relationship, that's my fault. I saw so many red flags that I said okay with because I wanted to make sure it worked, and so I did it to myself.
Radical responsibility, accountability, excuse me, is the only thing that I can hear from that. And that is why Ben is doing what he's doing with his life. I
But
just
what
want to put that out there.
it is I'm not saying, like, I don't have anything figured out, okay? I don't talk on a mic because I think I have figured it out. It's because 'cause I'm trying to remind myself not to make the same mistake I made yesterday. That's why I talk on this stuff, and that's why I love talking to Keith because Keith's so smart, and I love to bounce things off of him, but you also don't have another choice because most people that walk around in life, when things are objectively hard, like, if you become obsessed with that, it owns your whole life, or you escape from it and you turn it into a win. The secret to winning in everything in life is turning what most people use as an excuse or a reason for failure as the reason you get success. That's what changes the whole thing. That's like literally the entire thing. If you just do that all the time, be like, whatever, anybody in the chat, tell me the reason why you can't be successful. And I'll tell you a story for why that's exactly why you can be successful. And then if you own that reality, it becomes true.
It's literally just like a formula. Like anyone who is extremely successful, that this is what they have. You have to do that,
Yes.
right? Because
Thank you,
otherwise
Kevin.
you're gonna fail. Like you're gonna have things that don't go the way that you want them to go. Rather, let's put it that way. And the only question is gonna be, Are you going to take accountability and find the thing that you can then do differently moving forward?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't systematically do that, then there will be things that come in the way that will end your pursuit of whatever it is that you're trying to do.
Also,
Um,
oh, sorry,
mhm,
continue.
no,
Go ahead. Sorry, I
that
didn't
was
mean to
it.
cut you off there. So, also, if you're here, you probably are somebody with bigger dreams or ambitions or things that you wanted to do. And as a kid, I don't know why, maybe everyone feels like this, but I was like, I'm going to do stuff that's out of the norm. I'm going to try to help a lot of people. Like, I'm going to do this. And then for a long period of my time, I'm like, why did all these bad things happen to me? And then I thought about it. I'm like, that's the only way I could ever become someone who is like worthy of helping people and can actually help them. If I can't empathize with people on all different things, like if I wasn't forced to be crippled and not walk for a few years, if I didn't go through those heartbreaks, if I didn't have like a tough upbringing as a child, if I didn't have like bullying, and if I didn't have really bad acne, if I didn't struggle with my weight, like all these things, I wouldn't be able to associate with this many people that I hope that we can, right? And so if Hermosi has a video that's super amazing where he's like, the people who win are the people who take their losses and say, this is part of my story arc. And so the worse that it is, the better the story is going to become. And when you become obsessed with that, you almost like don't really have bad days anymore because you kind of just laugh.
Mm, I got to get to where I'm just laughing.
Well, and also you, that's a great point you said that, because that there's like stages to this, right? Where you start laughing because once you've leveled up to what used to piss you off or tear you down or take you out for a week, then you just move on to a different level. It's like literally like a game, right? And so for business, I was like here. And then the past 2 or 3 years, I was like, you know what? I am going to build those software companies. So like, let's go do this. Then I was like, I had a lot of problems again, right? Then I wasn't saying that everything was funny and I was laughing like that was real world shit, right? But then
Mhm.
when you get through that, because you're like, I did this in the previous level, I can do this again here. Then you do the skills, then you get up here, and then you go to the next one. And so the next one, I'm excited that we're gonna be able to do all this together. But like, it is a thing, and why we also have this show is because the hardest part for my life growing up was that there was nobody like me that I could talk to. Like,
Mm.
because I've thought about this shit since I was a little kid, and I've tried to bring it into my life, but there just weren't people who were like me, and that's not a problem. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's a lot of power in finding people that are, right? Because then you can go farther. And I was really lucky. Like I've had supportive people in my life, like producer Kurt, who's on here with us. He was always like the most supportive person. So I would say find people who are supporting you now, like obsess over their support, but then also don't need it from anyone and go find it from people who are already there in alignment with you. That was so helpful for me. That's why I started a podcast in college, Keith. It's because I was about to graduate and I'm like, oh my God, like I don't want to work at Microsoft. You know what I mean? Like, and so I don't want to just be hanging out with people that are going to go work at, no shade to Microsoft or whatever, like Google, whatever. So, and make sure you define your own version of success. Yes, underdog, fantastic point. And make sure to define your own version of success and not let others determine their version of success for you. If you don't choose what success looks like to you, you'll be told and given that definition of success. And that's why the world's so messed up.
Yeah, because then you'll never be content with whatever the outcome is. It'll always be someone else's fault, right?
Yes,
That
yes,
you're not happy,
totally.
right, or fulfilled. So yeah, it's really important that we do that as soon as we can, because it'll be easy to look back and say, well, things didn't go the way that I wanted
Because
them
of
to, and
this.
it's this person's fault or whatever.
Keith, you started super young in the whole entrepreneurship stuff. Like, who were you talking to about all this stuff? And like, how are you finding a sense of community?
Yeah, I mean, I always tell people the this is why I mean, I used to have all my books behind me, right?
I miss those
Because
books, dude.
yeah, we'll have to like manufacture
Yeah,
something
we'll have to like
over
green screen where like
here.
AI have them behind you.
um, like books were my teacher and YouTube. I
Hmm.
grew up on YouTube. I'm not gonna lie. I would watch interviews from Mark Zuckerberg, Evan Spiegel, uh, Steve Jobs stuff. Like I would just create that. We have the internet now. We didn't
Hmm.
have that before. So the internet's great because you can find anyone, right, kind of anywhere. And the thing about a book is you can then get anyone anywhere at any time in history.
That's huge.
Okay. And that's what I love about books, because no one could just go and talk to Henry Ford. Okay.
No.
He's gone. But if you read books written by these people, even more specifically, and then about them as well, you can reconnect and kind of build a little bit of a inner community, if you may, or at least have a because honestly, like when I would read these books, the only thing that's happening in my head is I'm like that's me. Like
Mm.
I
Mhm.
will be this,
Yes,
right? And the younger you are doing that,
the
the more
better.
transformative that's going to be for your brain, for sure.
Such a good point. Yeah, podcasts are a massive thing, and Kevin had a great point here. A lot of people are afraid of being successful. I think that's an amazing point, Kevin. And this will show up in ways that you can't even understand, right? Like it'll be weird little things that just like seemed like they happened, or just nothing goes my way. It's like, did it not go your way, or did you not do the stuff that you had to do? Because if you did it, you'd become successful, and you don't think you're worthy of success, right? And so a lot of it has to do with some exercises that I find very helpful is to overcome this imposter syndrome. Is look at all the things you have in common with the people you look up to, right? Most people, they spend all the time saying what they don't have. I was obsessed being like, how am I just like the person that I look up to? And when you start doing that, you can probably find similarities with some of the most amazing people in the world, right? And then when you start becoming obsessed with your positive qualities, you start to attract more positive things to you, and then you become worthy of it too. Also, a lot of people have a very bad relationship with money. If we're talking about like success financially, I would strongly recommend reading The Psychology of Money. Very good book, and it really defines because we are governed in a system that's dictated by money. How you see money is basically how you see life. And so if you don't really address that, that could be the very thing that's keeping you from doing what you want. This is a really good question. You've got some great chips here. I'll add on to whatever you say.
For those of us in cross central said, for those of us in college, how do we make the most out of it, given how it almost feels essentially useless? And what advice would you guys give to your 18-year-old selves? Okay, so this is actually interesting. If
Great
you're in
question.
college, yeah, great question. And the thing that I messed up on was not fully utilizing the resources that I had access to at my university.
As a student?
Yes,
Mhm.
this could be like Adobe.
Yeah, they give you
Dude,
a
we
lot of
had
free shit.
access to Adobe.
Yeah, the
Like,
whole suite.
if you have the whole suite of Adobe for free, just as an example, and you probably do,
Yeah,
like,
if you're a student.
dude, you need to like double tap on that and learn how to use all that stuff.
Mhm.
Um, that's a simple one. The books that are in the libraries, I don't know, right? Like, but like lock in on like what's there. The professors, the ones who actually care about their stuff, tap in with them, go
Mhm.
and visit them just because. Okay. Like um all the different facilities that are around. You got computer labs and like all this stuff that you're paying for as well, right?
Yeah, you may as well
Somebody's
use
paying
it.
for
Yeah.
it. So use it. That was the biggest mistake that I made in university, without a doubt.
That's phenomenal advice. And so, yeah, like we shit on university, or I shit on university probably the most out of anyone in the show, because I just saw that it was a massive scam, in certain ways, right? Like, and so what you do is you obsess over the ways in which it's not a scam. Like, when are you going to have this much time freedom and this much leverage to say I'm a student and use that to get in doors that people that normally wouldn't open for you? And so I would say figuring out what you're optimizing towards. And so if you're in here now and you're saying like, "Oh, I want to be an entrepreneur." Okay. I'm not even saying to drop out, but what I am saying is optimizing your day around getting that reality. And so the advice that I'd give to my 18-year-old self would have just been to start earlier. It would have been to start the podcast earlier. It would have been to start a YouTube earlier. And why did I start the podcast? So this actually is double connected. So this can speak to that kid. So I used a podcast to find my community. And I did that because when you ask someone just to chat on the phone, like the chance of them saying yes is a lot lower than can I record the podcast? Can I make you look good? All this, all that. And so I definitely recommend having some sort of thing like that. I recommend going to meetups too. And I think I talked about this in the pod a few episodes ago. I forget, but I used to go to all of these entrepreneur meetups, and so did a lot of other kids. And a lot of them didn't figure it out for a while, but everybody who went to those figured it out eventually,
Mm,
which is
mm,
crazy, right? Because that showed that as 18, 19-year-old kids, like we weren't going to a party, we were going to an entrepreneur meetup and trying to like better ourselves. Like
mhm.
everything's pretty obvious when you look back at it, right? And like a lot of the people who would look at my situation and be like, "Oh, lucky," or whatever. It's like I did a lot of things that you just didn't do or didn't see the value in doing, and so you didn't do it, right? So I think figuring out what you're optimizing towards and just becoming obsessed with squeezing as much as you can out of that.
Yeah, and to respond directly to that kid on finding the like-minded community, like what Ben said was the exact answer that I would have given. Like you create something,
Mhm.
like create stuff, um, create a club. Like when you create the space for the like-mindedness to occur, then you're going to attract it, right? Um, and so creating is one of the best ways to do that, whether it's creating a YouTube channel, creating a blog,
Yes.
um, like literally, dude, like when you're at a university, you have access to so many people and minds,
Yes.
and like it's crazy. Like print out, you have access to a printer, print out 1,000 flyers about the thing that you care the most about
Mhm.
and post them joints up around
Yeah.
campus, like saying, join my WhatsApp group or join my email newsletter or look at my podcast or what, dude, like that's free, bro.
Mhm.
Like it might take a couple hours of your week, and you've like now amassed hundreds of people who at least somewhat care about the thing that you do. And now you'll find like homies for life right
Yes.
out of doing something like that.
It's yeah, such good advice, Keith. And when you start doing something, it makes you a better person, and it also gives you a fantastic filtration system for people who are worth your time or not. If someone thinks you doing something is like weird or lame, instantly don't give that person another moment of your time. That person is a closed-minded, negative individual who will suck you down to their level. Go and find the people who are like, wow, that's so cool. You're doing this thing. Like, tell me about it. Why did you do that? I've always wanted to do something like da 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 da. You'll meet amazing people like that. I literally met one of my best friends of my life named Tom Blake, absolutely amazing person, phenomenal blogger. Because on the last day of school or whatever, I told him I had a YouTube channel. And we had never talked about this up until this point. He's like, "Oh, I run blogs. I'm da 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 da." Like, and then we had a conversation, and then we've been friends ever since. Right. So when you have something to talk about, you instantly become attractive to the people who also have things to talk about, or who are just very open-minded, good people. You'll enjoy your life a lot more if you spend time with those people.
110%. Um, I think that's actually one of the biggest hacks in life too. Is and a big part of the reason why I've come out here as well is like, how can I surround myself with other people who have the exact same kind of mentality on like philosophy of the world?
Hmm.
And like when you, so now that I'm in a place where I've put so much out into the world already, like now there's just a catalog, right, of like who is Keith. Like so now when I meet people who might be, for instance, today I ran into a guy named Cameron Foose. I don't know if any of you guys know who that is, but he's a trader, a social media personality. He helps people learn how to trade. And like that was a crazy moment where I was like, well, technically, um, I'm not on equal footing with this guy, but I can at least like bring him like what I'm about
Hmm.
and not have to like talk about it. I can say, hey, check out my Instagram and then check out everything else from there. And and so even if you're already that person, right? Because I haven't really changed. Nothing's about me has really changed in the past few months, right? I
Totally.
just started a YouTube channel, but now there's a catalog, right, of that other people can see of who I am and what I'm about, and it just happened that a lot of people actually cared or wanted to hear about some of those things. And now that's the proof of the fact, right, of who I am or what I care about and things like that of that nature. So when you just start putting stuff out into the world, guys, that's aligned with the things that you care about and the values that you have, that can be the only thing that needs to change about everything that you're doing in your life.
Yes.
Um, so yeah,
So well
just
said.
gonna say
Yeah, the social proof changes everything because especially if you're trying to go after people who are very successful, like the least thing they have is time, right? And so they have this natural filtration of like, are you going to waste my time or are you going to enhance my experience? And so little things like that, social proof plays a very big role. And so to connect it back to the whole point and like the thumbnail of this is that it also goes the other way too, right? Whereas if you sacrifice who you are for the sake of views or money, that also follows you around, right? Like so many things will carry you around with you. So Keith, you've got another request from Kevin here. Appreciate you showing up, Kevin. Always great comments. Please bring more explainer vids like the bonds one. I think you got a ton coming. No?
Yeah, I appreciate that, Kevin. Yeah, there's more explainer like videos that are the next video actually that's coming out is exactly more like that.
Hell yeah.
But no, I mean that's what I'm gonna be doing for sure. I appreciate
Amazing.
that, man.
And everyone who's here right now, we're only 17 subscribers away from 1,000 on this channel. So if you've yet to click subscribe, do so right now. We've got a lot of people in here that I know you haven't all subscribed. So do that. Hit the bell button too. It'll only ever be lives. But when when you can go and be an OnlyFans model and make like millions of dollars per month, the impact that has on society is like really catastrophic. Because when like these people who are like so young and are so influential in terms of other people that are very impressionable, and they're like, "Look, I made this much money." It makes everything they're doing seem so irrelevant or a waste of time, right? Like, so like, let's say the girl who watches social media, she's in school to go be a nurse, an amazing profession, but she's gonna make, let's say, like a 80 to 120K a year. I don't know what they make, right? But then they see this girl who's the same age as them, who gets paid millions of dollars per month for posting pictures of their butt. Like that's so that makes the like women also a lot less motivated to pursue other things. And then the same is true with men, right? When they see how basically if I'm not a baller, I'm no one, it makes them quit. Like the quitting is just like all across the board.
Super cool comment.
I like this broad range of topics y'all covering. Keep it up. Amazing. Yeah, yeah. We want this show to basically be a soundboard for things that we're curious about and also explore the things that we don't know to be curious about either. So you, especially as the live participants in this, you do shape the content. So always provide your comments, suggestions, feedback. We want to make this show the best place to hang out on the internet. And the only way we do that is with amazing people like yourself, and then also feedback from that as well. But where else do you want to go, Keith? Because I know it's super late for you. We should wrap up soon.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've covered a lot of the stuff that's been on my mind around this topic and uh, what people can be doing about it as well. So I'm pretty satisfied with it. And you can open up the chat, see if anybody has anything that's on their mind.
Totally. Yeah. The other point that I want to include is how to make social media work for you. So I would say avoid social media like short form platforms as much as humanly possible. Really prioritize podcasts and long form content, but not the I don't mean like the self-help like guru stuff. I mean stuff that can be either applied towards philosophical thought or direct application towards making an improvement to your situation. Right? Like, a lot of people will go read the same books, right? Like I always find it so funny, not funny, I guess it's natural, but when people start their entrepreneurial journey, they all go read like the same 10 books, right? And so basically
Yeah.
you can spot a new entrepreneur by their ignorance, right? And so basically I'm saying is graduate. So when you do start consuming something that's I don't want to throw shade on anyone, but most podcasts that are out there are like incredibly surface level because they have to be that to pull in viewership. And so it maintains this. And so people watch that stuff and they graduated a long time ago, but they stay watching it and so they don't get better and their life doesn't get better. So like the layers of friction in terms of how many people are there is usually an indication of the fact that it's probably pretty valuable because not many people know that it's valuable. Do you guys have any quick thoughts on the people trying to argue the government is positioning to seize Bitcoin or other crypto? I saw the fact that they're going to try to tax foreign crypto for Americans. I saw that's all I've seen.
Yeah. A lot of stuff around taxation and it being, uh, I think there was something about like even being able to pay your taxes in crypto or something like that,
Mm,
um,
that seems
which
sketch.
it'd be very, it would be a way for them to continue to grow their stockpile in the
Without
US.
any, that's like, yeah, without spending any money on it.
Yep. So that's something that's possible. I think seizing Bitcoin directly would be, cause for social unrest. So I don't know if that's really something that we would see in this
Yeah,
generation. Um, we got to think most of the kids or the people that are like really into this stuff are young people who are native and know that that
they
would
would know
not
that's
be
messed
right.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
next Tuesday or Thursday, we may have a guest Tuesday. So if we do, we won't cover this topic. But the next episode, which is Keith and I are going to be talking about the central bank, the banking system, and that's very much connected to all of this. And so, whether you're a crypto head or just anyone, like there's going to be a lot to pull from it. I spent all yesterday researching it. I know that Keith's looked into it a lot. There's books on it. Like it's a pretty wild system that dictates most of what we do. So definitely tune in for that. It'll be a fun one. We were going to do that today, but I was like, I want more time to research.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I bring the facts and the receipts because a lot of it is pretty hard to find, and you got to think that's deliberate.
Oh yeah, I mean, once again, guys, like I didn't know, I've never heard the term monetary economics or monetary history until you start studying Bitcoin, and they're definitely not teaching you Bitcoin in school. So, but that once again, I'll say this over and over again, is probably the most important topic that any human being who's supposed to be wanting to be successful in life would want to know. Like, what
Want to
is
know what?
money? Where did it come from?
Yes, I know. It's crazy how few people understand that. Like, it actually and I don't even grasp it well enough. Like, I need to learn so much more because it dictates everything that we do, and it also dictates the trickle down decisions of everyone, right? Because it's enacting our primal instinct to want to survive. And Sam said something here too. How about these resignations due to the Epstein files? So I've been following that loosely, but I didn't know people resigned. But that
Yeah,
whole
I
thing
didn't
is
see any of that.
crazy. The Epstein files is. Have you looked into much of that, Keith?
I haven't. Like, I mean, it's crazy that it's a mainstream point of discussion.
How could it not be though?
I mean, I guess it's just like, I mean, it's just like we already know, like we already
I
know
get okay.
what happened.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, but we do but who's really paid the price for it?
No
Like,
one, and
that
no,
did you get almost get in trouble there?
no, I truly don't think that anyone will. If I'm being honest, I hate that. Um,
But shouldn't we fight to change that?
I would love to see it. I think that a lot of
We are
the
cooked.
fighting for it is misguided. Um,
What do you mean by
like I
that?
like I don't think that like what is actually being done to make that happen? Like, are we going? Because the problem is this: the people who are the most responsible or connected to this are the people that are apparently pushing for this to happen.
And
Let's
they
be real.
dictate the changes that get made or don't. Like, it's such a shit
Yeah,
show.
like it's over once. Like it's over on that. Now that that person is potentially in control. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
Uh,
The people that Epstein was tied to is crazy, and I think the biggest takeaway from all of it is that like, everything is connected. Like, it's not right versus left. Like, it's all BS. They all go to the same schools. They hang out together. They put on the character to convince people that like, oh, I hate this or I hate that. It's theatrics. And honestly, I'm I'm so hungry for opportunities for change. But when you see things like this, it makes you lose hope a little bit for sure.
yeah, I'm just like, how did this even come back up again? Like,
Epstein,
yeah.
like in this conversation or in
No,
general.
I'm saying in the popular topics that everyone's, worried
I,
about.
well, because I think people just didn't stop asking.
Fair enough.
And again, could this be like crazy chess moves where like they did that on purpose to then later give the people something so they felt like they got to win? Like I would put nothing past these people. And even when we had Salim on here last, I sometimes think that this perception of dysfunction is a feature d- that's created by them, right? Because if that's the plausible deniability all the time, like there's no way we could have pulled this off. We're not that organized. Like, is that not the perfect cover? So I personally think that they would totally be able to do this. And if you're okay, like let's say you're involved with who's making money and all these insider trades, like you could say, "Oh, I don't want to work for the government because I'm only going to make this much money." It's like if you're not a public facing thing, like there's no limit to how much money you could theoretically make depending on your involvement with the government. Like there's so much black budget stuff that you could be getting a piece of. Like there's so many things where yes, they would totally hire these people. And when you think about the stakes, right? I bet you that like the most important people in the entire government are propaganda people. Like I guarantee the people who are the best at that in the world are like the most important people in the eyes of America. That's probably why you'll never know who they are.
You're saying the people that are the most wait,
Important.
the people that are the most important are the
The best
best
prop
at creating propaganda?
the best propagandist is I don't know if that's how you say it. But right, like the people who are good at executing these things and dictating the narrative. Let's let Keith get to sleep. He's tired.
No, I'm thinking. Sorry.
No, no, you're good. I don't want
Don't
to keep
take.
you up. Honestly, that's why I'm saying that.
Um. So.
I'm saying that
I love that topic, propaganda, man. We can talk about
we'll
that.
do a whole episode
But
on that, and then we'll do the book with Edward
yeah.
Bernays and all that shit. But when you think about all of this bullshit, right? Because when you come back to the point where money is fake, right? Then everything that stems down from the fake money is fake other shit. So it's really the role of the government is like perspective preservation that's advantageous to them. That's like the entire game, every facet of the government. What is their real job? You could say, oh, for this or for this. No, it's maintaining optics and perception. It's like the whole thing. That's why a lot of times people who are in there at the time, if they did a really good job of maintaining positive public perception, at the time they're seen as great. But then when they zoom back and look at the decisions they've made, they're like, oh, like he was really just screwing us over, but he was a good talker. Like that happens all the time. And
Yeah.
so I'm hard pressed to believe that the most influential, yeah, that's a better way of saying it. Like that's totally it. Well, because when you think of, we'll tease for the banking system in the future episode, but like it only takes one or two dominoes to fall to where you have a lot of control and influence over things where you can then dictate stuff. It's pretty insane. What do you mean by this, underdog? It's tough because sometimes the world doesn't seem to be structured that way. What way are we referring to? Also, if
Yeah.
you're still here and you're interested in the whole Epstein stuff, I would go watch Professor Jang's series on secret societies because it's a strong likelihood that a lot of this really messed up stuff is also tied to some of the more prevalent secret societies. It's just another distraction. What's really going to happen behind the closed doors? Yeah, exactly. It does seem like we're just fed little things to send us on a wild goose chase to not really pay attention to what's going on. But yeah, we'll talk more about that with the whole central banking thing in terms of. I also really want to hear because Keith, I don't think you're gonna have the most positive things to say, but I'm gonna challenge you to be really positive in that one to see what we could do as people because the more that I look into it, the more that I'm like, oh, this would be really hard. Like this would be really hard to fix.
Yeah. I mean, I think, a big part of why the topics that we speak on this channel is that if there were a way out of the situation that we have now, I do think that blockchain, distributed ledger technology,
Necessity.
tokenization would have to play a role,
Hmm.
you know.
And then to do that, we also have to know enough, and then we also have to like are we cooked for real? Yeah, totally. But let's say pretend we're not cooked, right? We have to forgive the flaws that a broken system created. Right? So like the conversation was even brought up like how do you trust women again? It's like because I understand that they're just people like I am. Like I fell for shit too. I just woke up slightly earlier than them. That doesn't make me better. It just makes me different, right? In terms of like timing of stuff. And so I think we all collectively as people need to look at what we dislike so much and approach it from a far higher degree of empathy, being like, obviously they became like that because of what they've been exposed to. Because if we don't talk, we got no chance.
Hmm.
Wesley
Hmm.
says we're definitely cooked.
What up, Wesley?
What up, Wesley? Appreciate you tuning in. But do y'all have any other questions before we wrap up? Because I do want to. They put it to a vote in the House and Senate. I mean, WTF? Yeah, that's pretty crazy. And didn't it go through?
Yeah, I haven't been following, man.
It's
I
not worth
mean,
following, honestly.
I can't wait to see. Yeah, I mean, like the fact that they were like, "Oh, we're gonna tell you," and then we're like, "We're not gonna tell you," and it was like, "Oh, they released the file," and then the files that the people didn't already
And
know.
they had the weirdest shit, dude. Was this influencers that had the binders? Did you see all
Oh
that?
yeah, dude, like what happened with
We are
that?
we are living in a simulation. Like Kim Kardashian is like, look what I got. Like it's some drop. Like, what do you mean? This is like, what the hell? It's not a
It's like this is the
Labubu. We're talking
Jordans,
about like,
bro.
yeah, seriously. It's not some gold Labubu. It's like people's lives were in there that got ruined. It's disgusting.
Yeah, man.
We are definitely
Wesley said
cooked.
files already redacted.
Redacted. Yeah, they pull that shit all the time too.
We focus on 2 minutes that doesn't even matter. And and then it's always at the time that like something's actually happening in the markets, right? Like Bitcoin's down 15, 20%, gold's soaring and stuff. And just like, I don't know, man. Like
Patience is a
there's
virtue.
gotta be
We all,
much more important things that are going on that
yeah.
we're
Focus
not
on
hearing about.
you, developing you as a person. But I do want to do some more episodes on these like government projects that were done like underground that were done like there's
Ooh.
so many of them that are crazy. Like there's some that are UFO related where literally they paid a guy to like oh it was so mean, but they basically tried to make this guy seem crazy. And so they had this like government agent like egging on this guy who thought that he had seen something that was private and he basically drove a man insane from screwing with
Mm,
them. And then also there's this whole Charles Manson stuff where they were the CIA, I believe it was the CIA, it could be FBI, it could be whatever. They were bringing in civilians and giving them like doses of LSD to basically see if they could create some sort of truth serum. Crazy stuff. There's a book
what
that
is a truth serum?
like basically like trying to figure out a way where they could extract information from anyone. So that
Oh,
could be
okay,
used on their
gotcha.
own public, that could be prisoners of war, that could be whatever, right? So it's there's so many things that are crazy. What's it called again? It's like Project Blue Book is one of them. A bunch of crazy stuff. But one thing here, how do you guys cope with finding out that most of the things we grew up being taught was all fake? I actually haven't struggled that much with this because it all smelt fishy to me pretty early on.
Interesting. I mean, I think I told you guys already. My
MK
father
Ultra,
showed me
yeah.
Zeitgeist
Oh, your dad
at
showed you
eight.
that?
Yeah, at 8 years old. So I mean,
Wow,
that
your dad's a legend.
kind of like changed everything for me there. I was
That's
depressed for like a
yes.
week, but it was
Y
good that I
Oh, your dad's
got
a
that.
legend. I love that. Most dads wouldn't even be on the radar of, like, understanding the significance of showing that kinda stuff, but that's yeah, it's, I I've always felt like things just kinda felt weird, and I asked so many questions about, "Okay, like, why do we do this? Like, why do like, who gives me money? I work for what? Like, I wanna buy a house?" Like, I would always ask so many questions, and the answers that I was given were always pretty shit. So I was like, "Hey, well, if the people who are telling me to do this don't even really know why they're telling me it in the first place, that means someone else told them to tell me." Right?
Very interesting, man. That's real. That's
Bluebeam.
real.
Yeah, Bluebeam's one. But, yeah, so many more future episodes coming. We appreciate you guys all showing up. It's like 2 AM in the morning for Keith, so let's wrap up and let him get some sleep, and, we'll see all you guys on Tuesday.
I am having so much fun though. Guys, be sure to like and subscribe and know for a fact that we will be here on Tuesday and Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern live.
Let's give a
Okay.
shout out to Keith here. This guy's showing up at fricking midnight to maintain the same sort of time, so
You,
definitely Keith is a
you
legend.
can't you can't give me a shout out for that because I'm gonna be doing this for the next like
Well, I
rest
know,
of my life.
but
So
that shows you how freaking awesome and committed you are to this too, right? And I think that like when you guys feel the space, like Keith spends a lot of time learning stuff and he comes to this platform and he gives it all away for free. Right? Like that's crazy. Not many people are gonna be doing that. And so the fact that you can actually interface, ask questions, like instead of just saying a comment on a video, you can actually get a live like that's crazy. That's so valuable.
yes, sir, man. Shout out to you for being here, Ben, and for all the things you're doing to make this happen as well, bro. So
That's it.
super
That's it. Well,
excited
we
about it.
appreciate all you guys so much. We're gonna cue our little outro and have producer Kurt pull us off the stage whenever you're ready, Kurt.
See you guys.